Good evening, everyone. My name is Daniel with Daniel Lee Yoga. Thank you for joining me for practice today. Today is Wednesday, and tonight we have a level one focus flow class. We're focusing on crow this week and all of the different component actions and key parts that's required to get into the pose. So that's what's going to be our focus today. I'm just really excited. It's a pose that I like to work on. If it's a pose that scares you, don't worry. We're going to go through all the different things to keep in mind to warm up your body and to build the confidence to give the pose a try, even just different variations of it that we're going to try today. Um, I still will provide modifications along the way for different poses that we'll get into and different variations. As far as the focus, like there's five or six different things I always like to focus on in crow. Starting with the shoulder protraction, the shoulders coming away from each other, which we don't always do in all of our poses, and so we're going to try and reinforce that action. Also, strong arms are definitely necessary, upper body strength. Just wrist alignment and just wrist health in general is something good to keep in mind. Core stability and awareness here, that's definitely important. The hip flexion, the knees coming up into the chest area, and then the legs hugging into each other. That's leg adduction. So there's lots of stuff to keep in mind, but it's good. It's very beneficial. Working on the component parts of crow can help increase your stamina, develop mental focus, increase your upper body strength, definitely, and just bring more awareness to the different things that you need to keep in mind throughout your practice to advance into that pose. So it looks like the stream is good to go. I got a notification on my phone. Thank you for joining. Let's get started on our backs with your knees slightly bent, feet on the floor. And I forgot to mention, but if you do have a couple blocks, you can have them handy nearby. If you don't have them, don't worry about it today. They're not super necessary, but we will use them if you do have them. So on your back, just give your knees a gentle squeeze into your chest and wrap your hands around your shins or your thighs. Just a nice gentle squeeze here. Take a couple deep breaths as we get ready for our practice tonight. Now, while you're holding your knees into your chest, gently rock from side to side. Going to massage that lower back. So keep your arms wrapped either around your shins or your thighs, whatever works for you. And just gently rock from side to side. Loosening up the low back, just getting it ready for the rest of practice today. Just keep going back and forth, and we're going to get started with core work to start the practice. It's probably one of the most difficult ones, so I figure we get that key part out of the way early in practice. But don't worry, it'll be fun. So let's come back to stillness. And wrap both hands around your right knee. Extend that left leg straight and forward. Release the left heel to the ground. Flex those left toes so they face up towards the ceiling. And hug that right knee into your chest. Just stay for a breath. And exhale, let's switch. Draw left knee into your chest. Extend the right leg forward. Right heel to the ground. Flex the right toes so they face up towards the ceiling. Draw the left knee into your chest. Stay for a breath. And exhale, let's switch and start to move on your breath. So as you inhale, you'll switch and extend one leg forward as you draw the other in. And on your exhale, you'll switch that up. So you may be going a little bit faster than me or a little bit slower. Just move on your breath. Try to keep both feet flexed as you move here. You can start to begin to bring some awareness to that lower spine. Hug the navel in and down towards the spine to reduce the arch in that low back. Keep going one more time each side. Meet me with both knees drawn into your chest. Wrap your hands back around your shins or your thighs. This time, as you gently squeeze your knees in, lift your head and shoulders off the mat. So you're in a nice tight ball here. You're squeezing as much as you can. Just stay for a breath. And exhale, gently release the back of the head back down to the mat. This time, extend the arms forward, palms face up. Arms are straight, but keep your arms off the mat so that the forearms and the elbows hover, maybe an inch or two. Start with both knees hugged into your chest. We'll repeat that same process. So keep the right knee hugged in. Let's extend the left leg straight. And keep the left heel off the ground this time by flexing both toes. And let's switch on the breath. Draw the left knee in, extend the right leg forward, flexing the right toes. And exhale, switch. Inhale, switch. Keep going on your breath. Try to keep your hands off the mat, palms face up, and heels off the mat. If this is too much for you, you can go back and do what we had just done before, where we use our hands to wrap around our knees. If that's just better for you today, just go back to that. Just going to do a couple more each side here. Again, bring some awareness to that low back. Hug that navel in and down to reduce the arch. Let's do one more time each side. And then gently draw the knees back into your chest. Wrap your hands around your shins. Draw your head and shoulders up off the mat again. Give a nice squeeze in here. This time, leave your head and shoulders up. Release your arms forward, palms face up, just where we were before, arms hovering. And let's repeat those leg extensions. So extend one leg out, keep the heel off the mat, and switch. So we inhale as we switch one, exhale as we switch the other. So keep going on your breath. Again, hug that navel in and down. You're definitely activating the core here. Again, if this is too much, you can always drop that back of your head back down to the mat or go back to grabbing both knees as it comes in. Just keep trying to move on your breath. Maybe going a little bit slower or faster than me. Don't worry, this is one of the most difficult parts of the practice. We're just trying to get it over with today. Make sure you keep breathing. Let's do one more time each side. Gently draw your knees into your chest, and this time release the back of your head to the mat if it's up. Just stay for a breath here. And exhale, gently release the feet to the mat, knees bent. Take a moment to catch your breath. Now, while we're here, let's open up those hip sockets. So you can keep the left foot bent, draw the right knee into your chest, right palm on top of that right knee. If you'd like, keep this left knee bent, or you can extend it straight out with the toes flexed, heel to the mat, and just gently make some circles with that right knee. If you need a little bit more stability, it may help to bend that left knee and plant the left foot. Otherwise, have it straight out in front of you. Left hand is there to keep that left hip rooted. Let's switch directions in those circles. You can envision yourself drawing a circle on the ceiling here. Do two more times this way. And draw that right knee into your chest. Draw the left knee to meet the right. Gentle squeeze. And let's switch. So repeat what you had on the other side with the right leg either bent or straight. Left palm on that left knee, right palm on the right thigh. And we'll gently start to make those circles again. And keeping both hips rooted if possible. That right hand can help, and reduce the diameter of your circles if you feel like that hip's coming up too much. One more time, this direction. And let's switch. Opposite direction here. Keeping that right foot flexed if it's extended straight out. Let's do two more rotations. And draw the left knee back in, right knee back into your chest. One last squeeze here. And gently release your feet down. We're coming up to a cross-legged seated position. You can come up whatever way you'd like. If you like to roll up and down your back, you can grab behind the thighs Roll up and down the spine once or twice. And you can cross your legs and come up. If you just like to let your legs fall off to the side, you can press yourself up. Either way, just meet me in a nice cross-legged seat. Shins crossed at the middle. Place your palms on top of your knees. Just take an inhale and exhale. One more inhale and exhale. So another thing I mentioned was the wrists and how the alignment of the wrists and shoulders is really crucial in our crow pose. So let's just begin to work on that while we're seated. So extend both arms out in front of you, palms face down to start. Have your arms at shoulder height. Bend your wrists so that the palms face forward. And imagine you're just have a wall in front of you that your hands are pressed out on. Let's warm up the shoulders. Inhale, raise the arms up overhead. Keep those wrists bent. And exhale, gently release back to shoulder height. Inhale up. And exhale, release in front of you. Inhale up. Exhale, release. One more time. Inhale up. And exhale, release. Keep the wrist bent. We'll add a twist. Inhale up. Exhale, turn to your right as you release your arms to the outside edge of that right thigh. Inhale up, turn back to center. And exhale, turn to your left. Release the arms to the outside of the left thigh. Inhale back to center, keeping the wrist bent. Exhale, turn to your right. Release both arms down. Inhale back to center. Exhale, turn to your left. Release both arms down to the left. Inhale back to center. And exhale, just gently release your arms back down to your knees. Take an inhale here. And exhale. I already feel it in my wrists a little bit. Okay. Now another thing is that shoulder protraction that I mentioned at the beginning of class. That's where the shoulders separate. So we can begin to work on that now that the shoulders are a little bit warmed up. So let's come back to that position where we had before, our arms straight out in front of us. Start with the palms face down, shoulder height. Bend the wrist back again so that the palms face forward. You have that imaginary wall in front of you. Now this time I want you to keep your torso just where it is, but try to push your hands into that imaginary wall. This is where you may start to feel those shoulders protract. As you push those arms forward, your shoulders start to separate. Let's reverse that. Let's imagine the wall is now pushing your hands back to your shoulders, keeping your arms straight. Now your shoulder blades come back towards each other. That's retraction. Reverse that, send your shoulders away from each other. Arms come forward, push that wall away. Protraction here. And let's reverse that. Have the shoulders come back. Keep the arms straight if you can. Shoulders come towards each other. Wrists are still bent. And come back to middle and gently release those arms down to the side. Just take an inhale here. And exhale. All right, let's switch the class or whichever leg is in front. So if you have your right leg in front, send your left leg in front. We're still going to stay seated. Now another way to open up those shoulders is in our Garudasana arms. So we're going to work that now. Extend both arms out, palms face forward. Wrap the arms around you, hug yourself. Start with your left arm on top. So left arm on top, you're hugging yourself here. The elbows are stacked on top of each other. This is option 1 for our Garudasana arms. Option 2, keep the elbows on top. Bend your arms so that the back of the hands come to touch. This is option 2. Option 3, maybe you can wrap a little bit more so that the palms come to touch. Either way, whatever version you are, draw the elbows up. Try to reduce that arch in your back. Hug the navel in and back. Breathe into the back ribs. Nice long spine here. Stay for one more breath. And exhale, gently release. Arms out to the side, palms face forward. Let's switch the other side. So now hug yourself with the right arm on top. Hug yourself. You can already feel those shoulders starting to separate. This is option 1, stay here. Option 2, bring the backs of the hands together. Or option 3, wrap palms face each other. Either way, you're drawing the elbows up, hugging the navel in and back, and breathing into those back ribs, separating those shoulders Staying for a couple breaths here. Nice long spine. One more breath wherever you are. And exhale, gently release the arms out and down to the sides. Okay, we're coming forward into tabletop position. So hands come in front of you. You can roll over your knees or just send them out to the sides. In your tabletop, wrists are below your shoulders, knees are below your hips, tops of the feet to the mat. Have your wrist creases lined up with that short edge of your mat, or maybe they're slightly turned out. But while we're here, let's work on that protraction and retraction again. So start with a nice neutral spine. And keeping your arms nice and straight, see if you can sink your torso down to draw the shoulder blades together. This is the retraction. Now reversing that, press your arms into the floor, lift your torso up, keeping your arms straight. The shoulders start to separate. This is protraction. This is actually what we want in our crow pose. Let's even it out. Let's do our retraction. Lower the torso down, keeping the arms straight. Shoulders start to come together on the top of your back. And reversing that, press down. Shoulders fall away from each other in our protraction. Let's gently release back down to neutral position and just take a breath here. Okay, adding our cow cats to warm up the spine here. Always good to do in our tabletop. So inhale as we drop our navel, arch the back, send the heart forward, tailbone up, cow. Exhale, reverse that, round the back, separate the shoulders in protraction, the head falls. Inhale as you arch the back, tailbone up, heart forward, look up. Exhale, round the back, shoulders separate, cat. Just keep going on your breath. Try to take your time as you're doing this. And really feel into that pose. When you come into that cat pose, the shoulders separate, you're hugging your navel in and up. Just do one more time each side. And then meet me back in a nice neutral spine. Okay, one more thing while we're in tabletop. You can repeat that process, or if you'd like, we're going to add the legs. So we're going to work on our hip flexion here. So begin by coming into cow. So we'll drop our navel, arch our back, tailbone up, heart forward. Stay here. Extend the right leg back, point the right toes, keep your hips neutral. Now exhale, round the back into cat as you bend your knee and draw that knee into your chest, up towards your nose. And inhale, when you extend that leg, come back into cow. And exhale, round back into cat, knee into chest. Two more here. Inhale, round into cow, extend that right leg back. Exhale, round into cat. Last one. Inhale, arch the spine, heart forward, cow. And exhale, round the back, knee in. Gently release that right knee down to the mat. And let's switch sides. So, come into your cow to start. Drop the navel, send the heart forward, look up. Extend that left leg back, point the left toes, left heart is up. Your heart is up, left leg is up. Now exhale, round your back, come into cat, knee comes into your chest. And inhale, arch the back, heart forward, leg straightens behind. Exhale, round the back, knee into chest. Two more times here. Inhale as you straighten, extend that left leg back. Exhale, round, knee bends into chest. One more time here. Left leg back, inhale. And exhale, round the back, knee into chest. Gently release that left knee down to the ground. And we're going to sit our hips back to our heels with our torso up. Now, if this is too much to sit your hips back on your heels, you can always sit with the block in between both feet. If neither of those options work for you, just meet us in a cross-legged seated position where we were before. Just going to work on the wrists a little bit here. So again, wrist health is definitely important. So let's just make fists with our wrists. Hug your arms in towards your chest and just gently make some wrist circles. Just gently loosening up here. Just try to go in one direction to start. And switch that direction. In our crow pose, it can be a lot of stress on the wrist, but if we work our different component parts and actions and be more confident with what we need to focus on in our pose, we can reduce the strain on our wrists. It's always good to massage it. Let's do a couple more rotations. And let's gently come back into tabletop wherever you are. Meet me back with the wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, top of the feet to the ground. Now, upper body strength is again another requirement for crow pose. So, working that now. Starting in your tabletop, you're going to kickstand your left foot out to the left side of the mat. So, keep your left knee where it is. Your left foot comes out to the edge of the mat. Curl your right toes under, extend and straighten the right leg back, release the right heel to the mat. You now have wrist to knee to ankle alignment. And start to open your chest, bring the right arm to that hip. Opening up the chest, trying to stack the shoulders. Option 1 is to stay here. Option 2, you can raise that right arm up to the sky, palm faces forward. Option 3, one last challenge, raise that right leg into the air, flex those right toes so they face toward the side. Now we're here for a couple breaths. Let's add some more wrist rotations, develop some mental focus here. So let's make a fist with that right wrist and just gently rotate. We can just hang out here. We can multitask and switch directions in those rotations. I mean, in crow, there's a lot of things to remember, so this is helpful. And gently release that right leg if you have it. Release that right arm back down to meet the left. Come back into your tabletop with both knees underneath your hips. Let's switch to the other side. This time, kickstand that right foot out to the side. Curl the left toes under, extend that left leg back. Drop the left heel to the mat. You have your wrist, your knee, and your ankle in alignment. Start to open your chest out. Bring that left arm to your hip to start. Broaden through those collarbones. Press down through the outer edge of that left foot. Option 1 to stay here. Option 2, raise the left arm up. Palm faces forward. And option 3, if you'd like, raise that left leg up. Flex the left toes so they face the side of the mat. And let's make a fist with that left hand. Start to gently make some circles here. Yeah, we're doubling up. We're doing a couple things here. And switch directions in those rotations. Try to keep your bottom arm straight. Couple more here. And gently release that left leg if it's up. Release the left arm down. Come back into your tabletop. And now in your tabletop, bring your knees together and your toes together. So we're in this kind of modified tabletop with the knees and the toes together. And this is where we're going to work on hugging the knees up into our chest a little bit. So walk your knees a little bit closer forward so they're not directly underneath your hips. They're a little bit closer to your wrist, maybe a foot behind. Now actively press the base of each finger and each palm into the mat. Press the tops of the toes into the mat. Hug your navel in and up. Protract and separate the shoulder blades. And then as you press your feet down, start to lift your knees up off the mat. They can maybe lift up an inch or two, or maybe they lift up a little bit more. Just go to your capacity, rounding your back just like a cat pose, separating those shoulders. We're staying for 2 breaths here. Wherever you are, 1 more breath. And exhale, gently release those knees to the ground. Curl those back toes under. And just stay for a moment here. That was almost like a half crow we got into there. Okay, with your toes curled under and your feet together, begin to walk your hands back to your knees. Once your hands come back to your knees and your torso is up, begin to sit your hips back so you're in this modified squat with your knees bent and they're forward. Get your balance here. You can stay here if you'd like. Bring your hands to the center of your chest. Idea is to get your thighs parallel with the mat. You can find your balance by finding your drishti, a non-moving point in front of you, and focus on that. Just take a breath here and exhale. Now moving into another version of our modified crow pose for practice, we're going to now separate our knees apart. Now, another thing that we want to focus on in our crow, hi Coney, is the contact between our knees and the tops of our triceps, the tops of our arms, the triceps. So with the knees separated, the feet are still together, release the fingertips to the mat. This is option one. You can stay here. Your knee should already be touching your tricep, your arms here. If you'd like, you can move down to having your palms on the mat, or the last option, if you can, forearms to the mat. Either way, wherever you are, start to press your knees into your triceps and press your triceps away from your knees. So you're pressing your arms out while they're still straight and hugging your knees in. Gently round your back, but still look forward here. And again, you're squeezing your knees in, you're pressing your triceps out. So you might start to shake. This should be a little difficult to stay here. You're definitely working here. We're staying here for just a couple more breaths, just reinforcing that action. One more breath here. And exhale, gently release. Walk the hands back, bring the knees back together. Now begin to shift forward as you start to straighten your legs. Take your time, just coming to a standing forward fold here. Separate your feet out to hips width distance, heels behind center toes. Knees can bend, let your head and your arms hang heavy. Now grab opposite elbows, coming into ragdoll pose. You can stay here in stillness, or if you'd like, you can gently rock from side to side. The idea here is nice long spine, softening the shoulders away from the ears. Just take one more breath in your fold. And come back to stillness in the middle. Release the clasp of both elbows. Press down into your feet. We're coming up to standing, but take your time. Spin your inner thighs in and back. And start to gently roll up from your low spine, one vertebrae at a time. Head and arms hang heavy, with the chin the last thing to arrive. All right, once you've met me in standing, just shrug those shoulders up and back, just loosen them up a little bit. And meet me at the top of your mat with your feet hips width distance. Heels behind the center toes, feet are nice and parallel. Arms down to the sides, palms face forward. Now, we've already pretty much gotten most of the component parts. Let's just start to warm up the body and get ourselves ready to go into more advanced modifications of our crow pose. So just take one more breath here at the top of your mat, feet hips width distance, and exhale. Here we go. Inhale, arms up overhead, palms touch, look up. Exhale, forward fold, knees can bend. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Press your feet into the mat, coming back up to stand. Inhale, arms out and up, overhead, palms touch. Exhale, hands to the center of your chest and down to the side. Let's try that again. Inhale, arms up overhead, palms touch. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice long spine. Exhale, forward fold. Feet into the mat. Inhale, arms out and up, overhead, palms touch, look up. Exhale, hands to the center of your chest and down to the sides. One more time. Inhale, arms up overhead, palms touch. Exhale, forward fold, hinge forward. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back, parallel to the mat. And exhale, forward fold. Press your feet into the mat. Inhale, arms up overhead, palms touch, look up. And exhale, hands to the center of your chest and down to the sides. Just stay for a breath, and we'll add on to that. Inhale, arms up overhead, palms touch, look up. Exhale, forward fold, hinge forward. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. This time, plant your hands to the mat, bend your knees as much as you need to. And step your right leg back, step your left leg back. Come into your plank pose here. Now we're here for a couple breaths. Again, upper body strength is required in our crow pose. If you ever need to, just drop your knees to the ground. Either way, your shoulders should be over your wrists. Press down to the base of each finger and each palm, especially the base of the thumb and the first finger. Those are what like to pop up sometimes. Again, shoulders are starting to protract, separate away from each other here. Staying for one more breath. And exhale. Now everyone drop to your knees. Shift the torso forward, bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes, press the tops of the feet into the mat, press the hips into the mat. And on your inhale, lift your head up, chest up into baby cobra. Send your heart forward. Try to drag yourself forward. One more breath here. And gently release your forehead to your mat. Curl those back toes under. Press yourself up through tabletop. Lift the hips up and back into downward facing dog. This is our first downward facing dog, so go ahead and pedal out the feet. Maybe lift one leg and lift the other. Just do what you need to do to kind of wake up the backs of the legs. Couple more breaths here. Come back to stillness. Take an inhale as you gaze forward in your downward facing dog. Bend your knees, exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms out and up, overhead, palms touch. And exhale, hands down to the center of your chest and down to the sides. All right. Now meet me in a wide-legged stance. So turn to the long edge of your mat. Separate your feet out to about one leg's distance apart. And start with your feet nice and parallel, heels behind those center toes. Coming into our warrior two pose, it's always a good reminder to come into it this way. Hands at your hips, starting with the right leg. Externally rotate that right leg so the right toes face forward. Internally rotate so the left toes come forward just a tiny bit. Look for that heel to arch alignment. Bend the right knee over the right ankle. Square the shoulders to the side. Extend both arms out, palms down. And turn your neck to look over those right fingertips. Make sure that right knee is tracking over the right ankle. You may need to heel toe your foot a little bit farther forward or back. And let's make this dynamic. Let's inhale as we straighten our front leg, both arms up, palms touched. And exhale, rebend into warrior two. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, warrior two. Couple more here. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, warrior two. Just keep going on your breath. We'll do a couple of these. I like doing it this way because it reinforces that knee tracking over that ankle. It's easy to get lazy here with the knee falling in towards that big toe. We want it to be behind the second and third toes. Let's just do one more here, straightening that front leg, both arms up, and then exhale back into your warrior two. Release both hands to your hips, straighten that front leg, turn the right toes to face forward, and come back into your wide-legged stance. Feet nice and parallel, heels behind the center toes, right where we started. Let's switch to the other side. So externally rotate this left leg so the left toes face forward. Internally rotate the right toes just a tiny bit. Look for that heel to arch alignment. Bend that left knee over that left ankle. Square your shoulders to the side of the mat. Extend both arms out, palms face down. Turn your neck to look over those left fingertips. Warrior two, Virabhadrasana two pose. Now inhale as you straighten that front leg, both arms up, palms touch. And exhale, rebend back to warrior two. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, warrior two. Again, making sure that left knee tracks over that left ankle. Keep going on your breath. Again, press down through the back edge of that right foot. It's going to give you more stability here. Let's keep going, a couple more. Inhale as we straighten, arms overhead. Exhale to warrior two. One more here. Inhale, straighten. And exhale, warrior two. Release your hands back down to your hips, straighten that front leg, turn the left toes in, and just heel toe your feet in, back to hips width distance, and just give it a little shake here. Now we're going to stay in our wide-legged stance where we were before, just coming into goddess pose. So starting in a wide-legged stance, start with your feet parallel, heels behind those center toes. And now we want to bring our ankles in, toes point out, about a 45-degree angle here. Start with your hands on your hips. Take an inhale and exhale as you gently bend your knees. Nice heavy tailbone draws down and start to bend down, bending your knees, lowering your hips. Again, try to have your knees track over those ankles where you're hugging your knees out here. Press down through the base of each foot equally. Again, draw the tailbone down. Try to reduce this arch. Hug the navel in and back. Nice long spine. One more breath here. And exhale, straighten those legs back up. Now we're coming back into the squat, or that goddess squat there. But this time we're going to add the Garudasana arms, which we had before at the beginning of practice. So let's extend both arms out, palms face forward. Hug yourself. Let's do the right arm on top first this time. So right arm on top. Again, you know the options here. Option 1, stay here. Option 2, back of the hands touch. Option 3, palms come to each other. Either way, draw those elbows up, hug the navel in and back, nice long spine. Now we're going to add a forward fold. So inhale as you look up, slight back bend. Now drop your hips down, bend the knees, and exhale as you fold forward. So you're in your goddess pose, knees bent, forward fold. We're inhaling right back up to where we started. Keep your knees bent. And exhale, forward fold. Round your back, shoulders separate. Inhaling back up. Keep the knees bent. Exhale, forward fold. Let's do 2 more times. Inhaling up. Keep those elbows up. Exhale, fold forward. One more time. Inhaling up. Exhaling, fold forward. And inhale back up. Straighten those legs. Release the arms down to the sides. All right, we got to do the other side here. Extend both arms out. Wrap around, this time left arm on top, hug yourself. Feel those shoulders for a moment. Staying here, or option 2, back the hands together, or bring your palms together. Whatever way works for you. You're going to draw those elbows up. Shoulders start to separate. Take an inhale here. And exhale. Okay, we're going to add a forward fold. So inhale as you slight back bend, look up. Now bend your knees back into your goddess. And exhale as you round forward. Inhaling back up, keep the knees bent. And exhale, round forward. Inhaling back up. Exhale, round forward. Keep those knees tracking over the ankles. Inhaling back up. Exhale, forward. Shoulders are separating. One more time here. Inhale back up. Raise those elbows up. Exhale, round forward. Now let's inhale back up. Straighten both legs. Release the arms back down to your hips. And heel toe those feet back into hips width distance. Just give them a little shake out. All right, before we keep moving, let's do a balance pose and add a little twist option as well. So bringing your feet back into hips width distance. Shift weight into the right leg. With your weight in your right leg, bend your left knee up to hip height with that left toe flexed. Now, left hand starts at that left hip. Right arm comes across into the outside edge of that left knee. So right arm comes around to the outside edge of that left knee. Now begin to twist to your left from the navel up. Start to broaden through those collarbones as you look maybe over that left shoulder. Option to stay here, or if you want to extend that left arm back, left palm faces to the left side. Look over those left fingertips. Keep pressing down through that right heel, hugging that outer right thigh in. One more breath here. And exhale, gently turn back to center wherever you are. Hands to the hips, release that left foot down. Just shake it out a moment before we move to the other side. All right, feet hips width distance, heels behind center toes. Shift weight now into the left leg. Bend that right knee, flex those right toes, knee is at hip height. Keep the right hand on the right hip. Left arm comes across into the outside edge of that right knee. Keep your pelvis still neutral, facing forward. Now inhale as you lengthen, and exhale as you twist from the navel up over your right side. Maybe look over that right shoulder. Option to stay here, or you can release your right arm back behind you. Right palm faces towards the right side. Keep pressing down through that left heel, hugging that outer left thigh in. Stay for one more breath in your balance. And exhale, gently release your hands back to the hips, turn back to center, and release that right foot down. All right. So come back and meet me at the top of your mat. This time your toes are going to touch. So at the top of your mat, toes touching, heels are just about an inch apart. Chair pose. Inhale, bend the knees, send the hips back, arms come forward. This time we're going to add our crow pose arms. So we're going to bend the wrists, and our wrists are going to face forward like we're pushing that wall away. We've been here before. And try to keep a nice neutral spine, no arch or round. Make sure you can gaze down and see those toes. Weight should be in the heels. Staying for one more breath here as you push that imaginary wall away. And exhale, gently release into your forward fold. Knees can bend. Let's inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. Plant your hands down. Step your right foot back. Step your left foot back into plank. We're not going to hold it this time, so we're going to drop to our knees. Shift the torso forward, bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes, press your tops of the feet and the hips into the mat. Inhale as you lift your head and chest forward and up. Drawing the back to the shoulder blades together, elbows come together. One more breath here. And exhale, gently release the forehead down. Curl those back toes under, press yourself up into tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Now extend that right leg up and back to hip height. Bend that right knee into your chest, shift your torso forward, and bring that right foot to the top of the mat. If it doesn't make it there in the first time, just wiggle it up to the top. Now drop that left heel down. Have the left toes a little bit farther forward than the heel. We're working on our warrior two foot position here, but we're staying low. So you may need to walk this right foot to the left a little bit to get your heel to arch alignment. Right toes are still facing forward. This time, if you have your block, place it to the inside edge of that right foot. Now place your right hand to the inside edge of that right foot. If you have your block, your palm is pressing down on your block. Otherwise, you can be on your fingertips or your palm can be on the mat. This is again where we have that knee to tricep engagement here. So we're gently pressing the knee into the tricep, pressing the tricep back into the knee. Now opening up our arm, bring your hand to your hip, open those shoulders up, broaden those collarbones, maybe look up to the ceiling. Option one is to stay here. Option two, raise that left arm back in the air, left palm faces forward. And you got it. We now are going to make some wrist rotations here. Let's make a fist with that left hand and gently make some rotations here. Again, multitasking is a lot to think about in our crow pose. This is good practice. Switch directions in those rotations. We're here for two more breaths. Keep pressing down through that right heel. One more breath. And gently release that left arm down. Come up on that back heel. Release the block off to the side. Right arm to the outside edge of that right foot. Send the right foot back to meet the left foot. We're in our plank pose. Drop the knees to the mat. Shift your torso forward. Bend the elbows back. Lower all the way to the mat. Curl the back toes under. Press your feet and the hips into the mat. Inhale, lift up into your back bend. Baby cobra. Maybe start to straighten your arms halfway or full into your full cobra. One more breath here in your back bend. Broaden through those collarbones. And exhale, gently release all the way down, forehead to the mat. Curl the back toes under, press yourself up into tabletop. Lift your hips up and back in a downward facing dog. Coming to the other side here, lift that left leg up and back. Bend the left knee into your chest, shift your torso forward, shoulders over wrists. Release the left foot to the top of the mat. Walk it up if it doesn't make there. Again, we're coming into warrior two footing here, this time on the other side. So drop that right heel down. Look for the heel to arch alignment. Place the block, if you have it, to the inside edge of that left foot, and then the left arm comes to the inside edge. Again, we have this knee to tricep engagement. Place your right hand on that right hip. Start to open your shoulders. Try to stack that right shoulder on top of the left. Gently pressing the tricep into the knee as the knee hugs into the tricep. Option to stay here, or you can raise that right arm in the air. Right palm faces forward. Gaze can be up towards the ceiling. Let's add those wrist rotations and make a fist with that right hand and gently rotate in one direction. Make sure you keep breathing here, feeling into the pose. Let's switch directions in those rotations, developing our mental focus here. Just as important as any strength or flexibility in our practice. And gently release that right arm down. Come up on that back right heel, release the block off to the side. Left arm to the outside of that left foot. Send the left foot back into our plank. Shift the torso forward, bend the elbows, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes, lift your hips up. Lift your chest up into your baby cobra, maybe your half cobra or full cobra. Last back bend here. And exhale, gently release. Elbows come back, forehead to the mat. Curl the back toes under, press yourself up through tabletop. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, everyone drop to your knees and come back into our tabletop position. So we're now going to have the opportunity to work a couple different versions of our crow pose. So if you have a block, that's what we'll start with. And if you don't have a block, if you just have a couple stable books, you can use that as well. Just anything to give you a little bit of elevation. Make sure it's stable though. So place that in the top of your mat. And if you don't have any blocks, you can still do this without a block. It just helps for this first round. So with that block at the center of your mat, bring your toes up on the mat, arms in front of you, and come into that squat where we were at the beginning of practice. So our feet are together, our knees are together, and our arms can be down just to give us stability here. Now separate the knees out as you bring your arms to the inside of your knees. Plant your hands down shoulder width distance. Again, wrist creases are lined up with the short edge of the mat. You can see we're already going into our crow pose here. So hug the knees into the triceps, press the triceps out in the knees, and maybe start to shift forward up to your tippy toes. Again, press down through the base of each finger and each palm. We're just practicing here. You lift the hips up off the heels. Nice straight arms if you can. Hug the knees into the triceps. Again, rounding the back, protracting, separating the shoulders. Rounded back, but you can still gaze forward to the top of your mat. Stay for one more breath here. And exhale, gently release. All right, so depending on how that felt for you, we're going to have two more options, so you can repeat that. Or the next option we have is to try without the block. So you may not even have a block, it may have already been there. We'll try it again. So again, come with your feet together, knees together to start. We're in this modified squat here. Arms are out in front, separate the knees away from each other. Bring your hands again about 12 to 16 inches in front. You may have to adjust based on your balance and your arm length. Wrist creases line up with the short edge of the mat. Press down to the base of each finger in each palm. Knees hug in as high up in the arms as they can. And then you start to shift your weight forward as you lift your hips off your heels. Again, hug those knees into the triceps, press the triceps into the knees, round the back, protract the shoulders away from each other. Gaze is forward to the top of the mat. Keep lifting, keep living. Hug the navel in and up towards that low spine, around the back. One more breath here. And exhale, gently release back down. Whew. All right, we have one more opportunity here to come into the modification of crow pose that works for you. This time we'll be raising one foot at a time. So If either of those modifications are what you want to stick with, do that. Otherwise, we're going to lift one leg at a time. So coming back into our squat, hands out in front, knees separated, pressing into the tops of the shoulders. Sorry, the tops of the triceps. So with your hands out in front of you, begin to shift weight forward, lift your hips up off the heels. Again, press those knees into the triceps. Begin to shift your weight forward, round your back, protract the shoulders, gazes forward, and maybe you come up on your tippy toes and lift one leg, point the toes back. Release that down to the ground, lift the other leg, release down to the ground. Keep switching both sides, just taking your time here. Elbows can have a slight bend. One more each side if you're with me. And just gently release back down. Release your hands back behind you. Come back to sit down. Extend your legs out in front of you, but keep your knees bent. Hands down to the side, fingertips face forward. Fingertips are lined up with about your hips, with your wrist behind you. We're coming into a Purvottanasana variation. It's going to reverse kind of everything we did. We're going to stretch now the pectoral muscles, everything that we were just strengthening. So try to keep your arms straight. Press your hands into the mat. Feet or hips width distance. And on your inhale, press your feet into the mat. Lift your hips up. Maybe your thighs come up parallel to the mat. Keep your neck engaged. You can gaze up towards the ceiling. Keep raising those thighs up as much as you can. Nice straight arms. Staying for one more breath. And exhale, gently release back down to the mat. Scoot up to the top of the mat if you're not already there. Hug your hands around your shins and gently roll back down onto your spine. Let's add a bridge pose. So heel toe your feet underneath your knees. Hips width distance, your feet and your knees. Arms down to the sides, palms face down. Press your feet into the mat, press your shoulders into the mat. On your inhale, lift your pelvis up, lift your hips up, lift your chest up into your bridge pose. Keep spinning those shoulders maybe in and under you as you lift your chin away from your chest and your chest toward your chin. Keep spinning the inner thighs in and down to keep your knees hips width distance. One more breath here in your bridge pose. And exhale, gently release from the top of the spine. Low back is the last to arrive. Just stay for a breath here. Now heel toe your feet out to the width of the mat. Let your knees fall into touch. Extend your arms out to the sides, palms face up, and gently let your knees rock from side to side. Just loosening up that low back. Be gentle, be nice and slow as you rock your knees from side to side. And now the next time your knees are both on the right side, release them down. We'll stay for a spinal twist here. Have the option to place the outer edge of the right ankle on top of the left knee. Slightly deeper stretch here in the outer left thigh. Gaze up towards the ceiling or look over those left fingertips. Try to maintain the left shoulder on the mat. We're here for 2 breaths. Gently release that right ankle from on top of the left knee. Knees come back up to center, gaze is up to center, feet are still out to the width of the mat, and let's drop the knees to the left side this time. Spinal twist, you can stay here or place the outer edge of that left ankle on top of that right knee to deepen the stretch. Gaze is up towards the ceiling or over the right fingertips. Try to maintain that right shoulder on the ground. Just stay for 2 breaths as we're winding down our practice here. Gently release that left ankle from on top of the right knee. Bring both knees back into center. Gazes up towards the ceiling. Heel toe those feet back into hips width distance. Let's add one more stretch here. Bend the right knee into your chest externally rotate that right leg so that right ankle now comes to the top of that left knee. Now you have a couple options here. You can stay here if this is enough for you. Option two is you send both hands, right hand in between both legs, left hand wraps around either your thigh, or maybe go a little bit farther and hold onto your left shin. The idea here is to gently draw the left knee in towards your chest. Extend that right thigh away from your body. Just stay for one more breath here. And gently exhale. Release that left foot if it's up. Right foot comes back down to meet the left, hip width distance. Let's switch to the other side. Left knee into your chest. Externally rotate that left leg outside of the left ankle on top of the right knee. Staying here if you'd like, or send the left hand between both legs. Wrap your hands around your thigh or your shin. Try to keep your shoulders on the ground, both feet flexed. Right knee hugs in towards the right shoulder. Left thigh presses away from your body. One more breath here. And exhale. Now gently release that left foot down to hip height. Let's give one last squeeze here, hugging the knees into the chest. And exhale, extend the legs forward, extend the arms overhead. One last full body stretch. Stretch the toes away from the hands and the fingertips away from the feet. Stretch, stretch, stretch. And exhale, gently release. Arms down to your sides. Let the knees and the feet fall out to the side. Palms face up as we come into our Shavasana pose or final pose of the practice. Your eyes can begin to soften or your gaze can close completely. Shavasana is a time to relax and release any bit of tension in your body, your mind, and your breath. Just be. Begin to bring some awareness back into your body. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes. Rotate your wrists and your ankles. And gently switch directions in those rotations. And come back to stillness for one last breath here. Now, gently bend your knees slightly as you roll over to one side of your body. Roll over to one side as your top arm comes to meet your bottom, and feel how your top knee rests on your bottom. Stay for one more breath here on your side. Try to keep your eyes closed or your gaze softened as you use your top arm to press yourself up into a comfortable cross-legged seated position as we complete our practice together today. In your comfortable cross-legged seat, palms come to the top of the knees, palms can face up, or hands come into the center of your chest. Let's take a deep inhale together and exhale. Thank you all for joining me in practice today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in each one of you. Thank you. Peace. Thank you all so much for joining me in practice this evening. I hope you enjoyed us working on our crow pose. It can be a very daunting pose, but I think if you break it down and focus on the different parts that you can strengthen together and work on, it really becomes a lot more approachable that way. You start to build confidence and awareness and the different areas that you need to focus on to move into your pose. So I really hope you enjoyed practice today. For those of you wondering, we are at another place in Greece. This is Mykonos, in case anyone was wondering. We'll be at a different location on Friday. So Monday we were at Santorini. Today we were at Mykonos. We'll choose a different location for Friday. So that will be next class at 7 p.m. We'll ramp it up to a level 2 where we'll actually give Crow a try. Maybe we'll try and get our feet off the ground there. As always, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the chat. You can leave a comment. My info is always in the video description. If you'd like to donate, that donation link to Movable Face is in the location in the video description as well. So thank you again. I hope you feel wonderful. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you next time in practice. Again, my name is Daniel. Thank you and peace.